Good morning. My name is Carly Kuman, and I will be sharing with you the research which I have been conducting for the past 6 months regarding COVID-19 and the impacts it had on Amazon shopping. To begin, my abstract here summarizes my project and its goals. The research project was aimed to study the correlation between shopping behaviors online and COVID-19. The research I conducted was to see how COVID-19 impacted online shopping choices, which is significant to real-world application due to the fact that businesses in the future may want to start up online platforms and adjust their approach based on the results which I found. The reason why I decided to choose this topic is because I have a love for shopping. Whether it's going to the grocery store with my parents or going to the mall with friends, I always enjoy shopping and going around to see new products. However, like everyone else, when COVID-19 began, the world was shut down and everything was switched to online platforms. This included schools, stores, etc. I experienced my family, as well as many others around me, switched to purchasing the majority of our goods online, including our groceries and household necessities, due to the convenience and lowered risk of infection. However, the main reason for shifting to online retailers was due to the fact that in-person stores began to rapidly sell out of their inventory and the inability to restock at a normal pace as world trading was disrupted. My interest led me to develop my research question. To what extent did COVID-19 influence the purchasing behaviors of women aged 20 to 60 who live on the Treasure Coast in Florida that frequently shop on Amazon, specifically regarding the add to cart and buy now options? Now, I know that is a lot to take in and understand, but I will break it down into parts for you all to understand the depth of my particular research question. So to provide you all with some context, I will begin by discussing my demographic. My study targeted women ages 20 to 60 who reside on the Treasure Coast in Florida and that frequently shop on Amazon. My reason for choosing women is due to the fact that a study done by Supermarket News concluded that 78% of women identify as the household's primary shopper, making the final say in purchases. In addition to choosing women, my study took place on the Treasure Coast, which is a stretch of lands on the East Coast in Florida, including Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River counties that is heavily populated and was significantly impacted by the pandemic. Pictured here is a map of the Treasure Coast found on the website Realty Is Us. To continue, there is a difference between the Add to Cart button and the Buy Now button, but what is that difference? When making purchases on the Amazon website or the app, you are prompted with these two options when looking at a product. So here above in the yellow, we have the Add to Cart option, and below in the orange is the Buy Now. Pictured on the left, you have the screen that you would be brought to if you chose the Add to Cart option, where you would be able to continue shopping and build a virtual cart that consists of single or multiple items. In contrast, the Buy Now button, pictured on the right, brings you straight to the checkout or place order screen, which is shown here. The two key terms, shopping behaviors and COVID-19, are the most important parts to understanding my question and can be defined as shopping behaviors, the actions and decision-making processes consumers undertake when choosing, purchasing, using, or disposing of goods or services. COVID-19. COVID-19 is a viral respiratory disease caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, resulting in a global pandemic that has significantly impacted public health, economies, and daily life worldwide. The gap that my research filled in order to add information to the academic conversation is the fact that there is a lack of research focusing on the specific demographic of women aged 20 to 60 who reside on the Treasure Coast, as well as the specific use of the add to cart and buy now options. The previous research that has been done focused on general trends in online shopping during the pandemic, but mostly from a national perspective, overlooking regional variations and the unique characteristics on the Amazon platform. During COVID, the spike in online retail, especially on the Amazon platform, was prevalent and had already been shown in previous research. However, Amazon has not always been this way. In the article, Creating the Global Shopping Mall, The Case of Amazon, the timeline of Amazon spiked my interest in how and why it evolved so quickly during a short time frame of only 30 years. In 1995, it was originally launched as an online bookstore. Then, in the early 2000s, it diversified into electronics, apparel, and various consumer goods. Next, in 2005, Amazon launched Prime, which is a membership service that initially offered 2-day shipping, but has changed since then. Finally, in 2017, Amazon bought over the company Whole Foods, diving into the grocery market. Overall, the company Amazon has evolved significantly over the years and continues to do so to this day, beginning as a simple online bookstore, now to an online store carrying almost every project imaginable without any significant rivalry in the virtual shopping realm. In addition to the Amazon timeline, the article Beyond Buying, Motivations Behind Consumers' Online Shopping Cart Use also helped me to think about the attraction of the Add to Cart button and why consumers would tend to lean towards the use of this after reading the article. Most consumers tend to find the virtual cart useful as it provides a way of convenience for them, as well as an organizational tool where all of the items a consumer is looking to purchase can be found in one place. Upon gathering my information from those sources, I hypothesized that despite the formatting of my question to seem leading towards the fact that I suspected a shift in button usage, I still believed that the Add to Cart button would remain the most popular choice despite a pandemic possibly altering those habits. The way that I went about gathering my research was I conducted a Google Forms survey that included 10 questions separated into 3 distinct sections: pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. My reasoning for breaking apart the questions into those sections is vital to answering my research question due to the fact that I was testing to see if the pandemic had an influence on purchasing habits. And in order to see that, I must know the pre-existing habits the consumers had to see the lasting impacts if there was a change now 5 years later. I found my subjects by approaching them in person and asking if they would be willing to participate in my survey. And if the answer was yes, I would then email them my survey. In the survey, I also included a consent question in order to inform my participants what their answers will be contributing to, and if I was able to use the information in the responses that they were providing. And here is exactly what my survey looked like on my participants' ends. Now I will be sharing the findings from each section. So to begin, these are my pre-COVID results. My opening question on the survey was, before the COVID-19 pandemic, how often did you shop on Amazon? 50% responded they shop on Amazon very often. 28.6% responded they shop on Amazon often. 14.3% said sometimes, and 7.1% said never. My second question for this section was regarding your typical process when shopping on Amazon. Do you usually use the Buy Now button, Or do you prefer the add to cart and review before purchasing? Where 82.4% responded by saying they use the add to cart button, where only 17.6% responded they use the buy now button. Next, I have the results for during COVID. My first question for this section asked, during the pandemic, did your online shopping habits increase, decrease, or show no change? 67.6% reported an increase in online shopping, whereas 32.4% reported no change. However, this is crucial to my results due to the fact that 0% reported a decrease, as this aligns with the previous research that has been done where COVID-19 impacted and increased online shopping. My next question was, were you more likely to use the Buy Now button for essential items, examples, groceries and health products, compared to non-essential items, like clothing or entertainment? I've derived this question from the research article I mentioned earlier regarding the virtual cart as an organizational tool and use of convenience. And in comparison to that article, 77.8% reported that they used the Add to Cart button, whereas only 22.2% reported they used the Buy Now button. And lastly, my post-COVID results. My final survey question was, post-pandemic, have you noticed any lasting changes in your online shopping behaviors on Amazon, specifically regarding the Buy Now and Add to Cart options? This was the most important question on the survey, where 73.5% reported no and 26.5% reported yes. And if they reported yes, they were asked to complete an additional follow-up question to describe what exactly the lasting changes that they experienced in their behaviors were. Here are some examples of the responses I received to the additional follow-up question, where my participants explained their lasting behaviors as, I use the Buy Now feature when I am ready to purchase immediately. I use the Add to Cart when I am still doing research and want to compare multiple items in my cart. Another response read, I believe that I shop more and more on Amazon, simply due to the convenience of it. I always use the Add to Cart feature and typically wait until I have 2 to 3 items in my cart to hit purchase. From these results, the key findings I found include the use of Amazon significantly increased during COVID and after than before. This increase did have a slight impact on how women shop, but not enough for it to be statistically significant. Overall, my hypothesis was proven correct, as it corroborates with the academic conversation, and it was shown that majority of participants still prefer the use of the Add to Cart option rather than the Buy Now. This shows that although there was an increase in online shopping and a correlation between COVID impacting that, there is no correlation between COVID impacting the habits or behaviors in regards to the button choices on Amazon. I filled the gap in the academic conversation by specifying my demographic, which had not been studied, as well as analyzing the button usage specifically on the Amazon shopping platform. Although I was able to successfully carry out my research, some limitations that may have impacted the results that I received could be the fact that I had such a specific demographic, which led to a smaller sample size, overall affecting my outcome. But now you may be thinking to yourself, what can people do with these results and who do they apply to? The results that I received will directly affect business owners. Business owners may want to be able to analyze the impacts which COVID-19 had on the increase of online shopping and see how that increase was a lasting impact and how opening an online platform could benefit their business. For future research to be conducted, I would recommend the researcher to focus on a different demographic, which includes the area, age, and gender, as well as a different website opposed to Amazon in order to obtain contrasting results from mine. Here are my sources that I used. And thank you, and now I'll be answering my oral defense questions.
Very nice, Carly.
Thank you.
Carly, how did the choices you made when designing or implementing your research method impact your research process?
So like I said, I developed a survey, and it was a Google Forms survey, 10 questions, and separated into 3 distinct sections. The reasoning for my method I chose was survey, honestly, for its convenience, the way that people can just open it and respond to it very fast to get the results I wanted at a faster pace. Like I said, with the 3 sections, I found it vital to my research to analyze the lasting impacts that I had, so I had to know the pre-existing habits that they had in order to compare it to the habits that they now have.
Carly, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but how does your new understanding kind of address a gap in the scholarly conversation?
Okay, so I had such a specific demographic for this research project, which was the women aged 20 to 60 who reside on the Treasure Coast. That was a significant gap since for all the previous research that had been done, it was done from a national perspective and it was overlooking the regional perspective, which is what I decided to focus on, as well as the actual button usage on the Amazon app. They had looked at, oh, Amazon has obviously had an increase during this time and their sales spiked during COVID, but they didn't look at what the users were actually using and how they were going about purchasing those products.
How did you handle the uncertainty of the research process?
So since like I said, I had such a specific demographic, I was definitely nervous about not getting enough data to fill the gap. But as I just went around and started realizing that, oh, there are actually a lot of people who can fill this demographic for me, it started to handle that uncertainty that I had about not being able to fill it, and it definitely started to ease my mind after I started getting those results in. Thank you.